Deadpool and Wolverine is a spoiler-heavy movie, which means there are many Easter eggs and cameos, so I'm here to break them all down for you. And obviously, major spoilers coming up if you haven't seen Deadpool and Wolverine.
Good luck, I'm a huge fan.
Happy Hogan makes a brief appearance. In his office are a number of props, images, and posters from previous MCU movies, including Cap's shield that Tony uses to prop up his machine, Iron Man helmets, and this spinny thing.
Can I move this?
Deadpool also mentions doing something gross with Hulk hands. The returning characters from the previous Deadpool movies include Vanessa, Peter, Blind Owl, Dopinder, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, Yukio, Colossus, Buck, and even Shatterstar.
I'm basically better than you at everything.
The TVA returns where Matthew McFadden plays Mr. Paradox, who is a character who has one comic appearance in a She-Hulk title. In that comic, he does not survive, but he does in the movie. Wonmi Mosaku returns as Hunter B-15 from Loki. Wade calls the TVA Tempad an Amazon Fire Tablet. When Wade is taken to the TVA, we see clips from multiple MCU movies, plus the moment from Thor the Dark World where Thor is holding Loki, but in this instance, he's holding Deadpool.
I fool, you didn't listen.
The Sacred Timeline, aka where the MCU movies and shows are set, is referred to as 616, which is what the main comic universe is referred to. If there was one thing that I disagree about the MCU, it would be about them calling themselves 616, because I always see the comics as a universe of their own, like how Sony has their own universe and different animated shows have their own universes. However, it doesn't really matter, it's just the number they call themselves. Other universes may call them something different. In fact, Miguel O'Hara calls the MCU 199999 in Across the Spider-Verse.
Don't even get me started on Doctor Strange and the little nerd back on Earth 1999.
The other main universe mentioned is 10005, which is the X-Men Fox world. There are a couple of jabs at the MCU itself, including Wade saying to Logan, "Welcome to the MCU, you're joining at a low point." This referencing the mixed to negative reviews some of the recent projects have received. There's also the common public opinion that we may be getting too many multiverse movies recently, with the likes of The Flash, No Way Home, Multiverse of Madness, Spider-Verse, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and the Lego Movie. But Wade makes the comment that The Wizard of Oz is still the best.
I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
Deadpool says on your left when he and the Wolverine enter the TVA, a nod to Steve Rogers saying the line in The Winter Soldier, and Sam Wilson repeating it in Avengers Endgame.
On your left.
When Deadpool is searching for a Wolverine to team up with, we see a montage of different variants, including a comic book accurate 5'3" version, Weapon X, who has a metal stub on his left hand. There was one which might have been Old Man Logan, it might have been General James Howlett, I'm not 100% sure on that one. It was Crucified Wolverine, Yellow and Brown Suit Wolverine, where he fights the Hulk, Patch, and a Wolverine played by Henry Cavill. There's also a joke about how Henry's now in the Marvel universe as opposed to the DC universe.
If I wanted it, you'd be dead already.
Multiple jokes are made about Hugh Jackman himself, including that he's Australian, likes musicals, and they even made a joke about how he's recently divorced, which would have been really fresh when that was filmed.
That hurt.
When Deadpool and Wolverine are teleported to the Void, there are many Easter eggs lying in the sand, including Captain America's Triangle Shield, a helicarrier, the Guardians of the Galaxy Milano, a 2015 Secret Wars comic, Asgard, and the 20th Century Fox logo. There are countless jokes about how this is now a Disney movie, plus a reference to the head of Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige, when they're not allowed to show anyone taking
Do you want to build a snowman?
Yes! But I can't.
After the two title characters fight, Chris Evans appears, reprising his role as the Human Torch, even saying the iconic quote, "Flame on!" He also name drops Reed Richards. Aaron Stanford reprises his role as Pyro, last seen in X-Men The Last Stand. He's also wearing a comic book inspired red and yellow suit. Ray Park returns as Toad for the first time since Storm told him what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning. Tyler Mane reprises his role as Sabretooth, albeit for a short period of time. Last seen in the first X-Men movie, Sabretooth is referenced as Wolverine's brother, which is the case in X-Men Origins Wolverine, but not in the comics. The part of the Void they get dropped in is a Mad Max-esque setting, so they make a couple of jokes and references towards those movies. One of the cars driven is a classic-looking Fantastic car. The Cupcake van from Moon Knight appears. Another is either a hot rod, which might be a reference to Tony Stark's car collection, or it's a modified version of Red Skull's vehicle from Captain America the First Avenger.
Throw a little Hot Rod Red in there.
Deadpool, Wolverine, and Johnny Storm are taken to Cassandra Nova's base, that's Giant Man's corpse. Wade then makes a comment about how Paul Rudd finally aged, a long-running joke about how he always looks young. Cassandra Nova is the main antagonist, who is Charles Xavier's twin sister, which carries over from comic to movie. At Cassandra's base, we see that Kelly Hu reprises her role as Deathstrike from X2, Jason Fleming is back as Azazel from X-Men First Class, and a new variant of the Juggernaut and Psylocke also appear. Allegedly, Vinnie Jones was asked to reprise his role as the Juggernaut from X-Men The Last Stand, but he turned it down because apparently it was such a drama putting that suit on, which makes sense that they'd ask him because the version they went with looks exactly like the one from The Last Stand.
I'm the Juggernaut!
Alioth, who first appeared in Loki Season 1 Episode 5, returns. While Cassandra is massaging the inside of Deadpool's face, he questions where the intimacy coordinator is, whose role in productions is to ensure the well-being and appropriate nature of actors during intimate scenes. I wouldn't be surprised if half the budget of this movie was spent on songs, because there are loads. The most notable are Bye 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 by NSYNC, which Deadpool perfectly dances to, The Greatest Showman gets a brief play, in reference to a movie Hugh Jackman starred in, and an entire fight was fought while You're the One That I Want from Grease was played. The end credits plays a montage of the Fox Marvel movies, with Green Day's Good Riddance, Time of Your Life played in the background. Deadpool pretends to do web shooters like Spider-Man. Some X-Men characters are name dropped by Wolverine, including Scott, Jean, Storm, and Beast.
Storm.
Okay, here's the big stuff. We get the return of Jennifer Garner as Elektra, who appeared in Ben Affleck's Daredevil movie before getting her own solo film. Daredevil is mentioned as being deceased, which doesn't bother her. This may be a reference to how Jen and Ben were married before getting a divorce. Other characters name dropped to be deceased are Quicksilver and Magneto. Wesley Snipes reprises his role as Blade. He says a couple of quotes from the movies he was in, including,
Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
There's also a dig at the upcoming MCU Blade movie, where Snipes says that he will always be the only Blade. The film was announced in 2019 with Mahershala Ali set to play the character, and since then has had multiple directors come and leave, and date changes. Daphne Keane is back as Laura/X-23. She wears the same glasses and backpack from the movie Logan. As I predicted in April, Channing Tatum plays Gambit. Hey Channing, it's all over. Disney just bought Fox. Gambit is cancelled. Maybe Ryan Reynolds will ask you to play the character in Deadpool 3? The history behind this casting goes as followed. Channing was chosen to play Gambit in 2006's X-Men The Last Stand, before the character was written out of the film. The character then appeared in X-Men Origins Wolverine, but Tyler Kirsch played the role because Tatum had scheduling conflicts, being contracted to star in G.I. Joe The Rise of Cobra. In 2014, he officially signed on to star in a Gambit solo movie with the October 7, 2016 release date. Directors Rupert Wyatt, Doug Liman, and Gore Verbinski all came and went as the studio, writers, directors, and Channing couldn't all align with a vision. The release date kept getting pushed back further and further until 20th Century Fox was bought by Disney, effectively cancelling the project. So that's why Channing Tatum plays Gambit in Deadpool and Wolverine. The character even makes a joke about how he may have just been born in the void and doesn't have a universe. Remy LeBeau also has a French accent, as he can speak Cajun French in the comics. I could be mistaken by this, but the hideout where Elektra, Blade, Gambit, and Laura are hiding out in had a stone carving of what I believe was the Scarlet Witch. Inside the hideout, there was a chess set, a nod to Charles and Eric playing many games together. One of the 4 live-action Punisher weapons is used to blast their way into Cassandra's base. Deadpool and Wolverine escaped the lair thanks to Doctor Strange's slingy.
She took my slingy.
She took your slingy.
Not only does Wolverine wear the iconic yellow and blue costume from the comics, but we also see him in the mask. Deadpool makes a joke about this, saying that he looks like Batman, but is able to move his neck, which is a common complaint about the Caped Crusader's suit. Wade Wilson's middle name is Winston, as referenced in Cavill and Deadpool 37, which is an extremely Marvel name, like Matthew Michael Murdoch, Fing Fang Foom, and of course, J. Jonah, Jimmy, Jason, Jackson, Jordan, Jasmine, Julian, Josephine, Jessica Jameson, a junior.
That's the coolest name ever!
Wade has small tufts of hair on his head from the staples and wig, a nod to his physical appearance in the comics. There are, dare I say, a pool of Deadpool variants, including, but not limited to, Dogpool, Kidpool, X-Force Deadpool, Kindpool, Babypool, Deadpool 2099, Headpool, Cowboy Deadpool, and Lady Deadpool, played by Ryan Reynolds' wife, Blake Lively. Speaking of Ryan Reynolds' wife, Wade says that there are 206 bones in the body, but 207 when he's watching Gossip Girl, a show co-starring Blake. There's also a Deadpool in a whale shirt, referencing the soccer team Ryan Reynolds co-owns, Wrexham FC. Co-owner of Wrexham FC with Ryan Reynolds, Rob McElhaney plays a TVA soldier, but his face is covered by a mask, and I'm pretty sure his lines, if he had any, were cut.
No more speaking lines for you.
When Kindpool tries to break the fourth wall, he mentions the movie The Proposal, a film co-starring Ryan Reynolds. During the Deadpool and Wolverine vs. all the Deadpools fight, we see a store called Liefeld's Just Feet. Rob Liefeld is the co-creator of Deadpool, who is notorious for being bad at drawing feet. When the fight makes its way onto a bus, there's an ad on the side with Stan Lee's face.
That is hilarious.
When Deadpool goes to make the ultimate sacrifice at the end, he does the Vulcan salute in reference to Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, where a similar situation took place. After Deadpool and Wolverine save the world, they eat shawarma, like the Avengers in the movie The Avengers.
There's a shawarma joint about 2 blocks from here. I don't know what it is, but I want to try it.
And that's all the Easter eggs and cameos I can remember off the top of my head. I'm sure over the next couple of days, more details will emerge, and obviously when it comes to home release, someone will go frame by frame to find every single reference. But have you seen Deadpool and Wolverine? What did you think? And what Easter eggs and cameos did I miss?